Hello and welcome to the Hairdresser Strong Show. We talk with hairstylists from all different backgrounds, hearing their experiences and perspectives about career-defining topics important to rising and transforming hairdressers. I'm your host, Robert Hughes, and this is my guest, Carla Pressley. Hello, Carla.
Hey, how are you, Robert?
I'm great. How are you?
Good.
Good. Why don't you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Hey, viewers. My name is Carla Pressley, and I am a hairstylist, makeup artist. I'm a freelancer. I own my own company, and what we do is hair and makeup for special occasions with a focus in weddings, but I do a lot of photography, production, anything that requires hair and makeup services on location.
Awesome. Awesome. So mobile stylist, which I think there's been a lot of talk about mobile stylists being like the thing of the future. A lot of customers, when I was going to their house during quarantine, they're like, why don't you just get like what do they say? Like a salon on wheels and park it on our street and we'll like have like a block party and cut hair. And I was like, I kind of love that idea.
Yeah.
So it's cool to like actually talk to somebody who's actually doing this for real. Your social media, today we're talking about social media, helping hairdressers, give them some insight into somebody who I think is doing a pretty good job at it. You have actually, I just to get started, I have your, actually have it pulled up. Let me just share my screen here. Share with you everybody. I want to share with them your website and your social media. So we'll just do that real quick. Let's see. Share. All right. So this is the social media. I love these little highlight windows. I love those animated things. I see a lot of high quality pictures. I guess that's because you're in events, you work with events. So do you get access to those pictures?
Yeah, I asked for it.
That's super clutch. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I follow up every wedding and I ask the photographers, if I can have the photos, if they can share it, or I ask my brides and grooms when I ask them for the review, if they wouldn't mind sharing photos with me.
Nice, nice. So I love this. I think it's super polished and looks pretty good, looks super good. And then let's look at your website. I was telling you earlier, I'm really impressed with this website. It's so clean. It goes right to the point, super high quality pictures. I mean, sites like this with those kind of pictures are usually agencies or large corporations like could get these high quality pictures. So you got like a little built-in content creator, which is so sick. Let's stop the here. Let's chat a little bit about your business. Tell us about your wedding and traveling business, and like in terms of how you interact with people, how you talk to people, how you get customers, etc.
So in the beginning of my business, or when I started my business 4 years ago, it was me networking all the time. Like I even joined a networking group that you had to pay to become a member of, but then that put you in touch with like a whole lot of other groups of that, you would go back and forth with. You could go to their meetings, they would come to your meetings. It really forced you to connect, being in a membership of networking group. When I wasn't doing that, I was searching for other wedding networking groups because I knew that I wanted to do more weddings specifically, not just hair and makeup for anything, but specifically for weddings. So I reached out to wedding networking groups. And I guess now, since that kind of, got the wheels turning, now it's more about what I'm doing online, interacting there. So I have been putting a lot of focus on my Instagram. Just, feeding the gram. Like if I'm done with my job, just snapping that one last picture if I can. If I've done a beautiful wedding, asking my brides and grooms if I can have their photos. If it's the photographer that I really want to connect with, because maybe I haven't ever connected with them, sending them a nice little email. Hey, love your work. Do you mind if I get a couple photos? Or if there's a photographer that I work with like all the time, hey, do you mind grabbing this behind the scenes photo of me? Because that looks really good instead of my like selfie photo. You know, just doing the most and making contact. Because every time I'm asking something, it's like someone has the chance, you know, to do something for me. And we all know it feels really good to do something for someone. So asking is the other side of that. And that really connects you with the people that you're already working with or want to work with.
Nice. I like that. You sound okay. I want to hear about this networking. You said you joined groups. Are these like Meetup groups or meetup.com?
No, not meetup.com, but they're like one was BNI, Business Networking International. It's a big group of business networking people that kind of got things going. It's how I met one of the first photographers that was helping me shoot a lot of my work because she was in the group with me. She did really well in that group too, because everyone in the group had her do their headshots. And then she would start requesting that they hire me to do the makeup. So we just kind of became a little bit of a team. But it was a lot of an obligation. Like, you know, you're trying to network for your team members, and they're trying to network for you. And so it takes work to do that. And in the beginning, that was great. That's what kind of got things going for me. A lot of those guys are still in groups like that because they're doing so well from it. But for me, I needed to branch off because I realized at some point that I'm very specifically targeting weddings. And so I was interacting with a lot of like lawyers and realtors and handymen and like all these other professions, which was great, but there wasn't much of a return on weddings. So I decided to go another direction and just network with other wedding networking groups. And, you know, you would meet once or twice a month. The first networking group taught me how to then, you know, continue those relationships, which is following up. This is what the email looks like. Hey, you know, you can go on my website and schedule in your meeting with me next. I would love to meet with you. And what you can do for people to kind of stay in their minds, you know, like how do you remember something when someone's like, oh, I'm looking for something. You're like, ding, ding, ding. You can remember someone that might be able to connect that person because you already know this person well. So taking time out of your busy schedule to get to know people, to continue to kind of seal those relationships. It's not just about dropping your card and saying, hey, what's up? And like, you know, going to the mixer and having a drink and a cupcake or whatever. It's about like really making those connections and making them somehow memorable.
Yeah, I think that you're gonna maybe consider putting together a little class on that, because that is not something that you make it sound so easy. I mean, I consider myself to be an extrovert, and I've been on stage in front of hundreds of people. And when I go to a networking event, I'm getting a drink. I'm looking like I gotta force myself, you know, to talk to people. And I have, you know, and since a big target audience here is salons and rising stylists. Rising stylists, I've noticed they do a lot more through a screen. So what type of networking are you doing through the screen these days with COVID?
Not much, to be totally honest with you. Yeah. I felt like we lost a little bit of the ability to really do the most with that time when there's just one person on a screen that everyone is watching. And, you know, you can type a little something here and there once in a while. And it's good to show up to these things. And it's good to say, hey, you know, nice to see everyone. You don't know if like someone is just, you know, a wedding venue was just asked who they would recommend for a hair and makeup person. And then here you are, you know, typing something. You could be the person that they think of to refer to that person just because they just saw you, you know? So always being seen somehow. So even though they haven't been my favorite way of networking online, it's still a way to stay somehow seen.
Okay. And that kind of leads us to the Instagram and you know, the digital, like your virtual storefront, so to speak. So let's see. Social media helps people discover brands and people they want to follow or purchase from. This is also a place people check in after they discover you on Google from a friend or a write-up. I just did an interview with somebody. I'm doing a series of interviews with salon guests and asking them what they think about their experience in the salon, how they found their hairdresser and stuff. And they said that they call their friends and they'll get recommendations. Then they'll go and look them up, find the website, check out the salon, click on the Instagram. So it's a part of an entire process. So how has social media impacted your business? And can explain whatever value you see in it.
Well, it's kept me up to date first and foremost, because if we've been hairdressers in a salon, we've all seen, unless your salon has nothing but like young people, we've all seen some of our mentors kind of stay in one place and not try different things. And I think I was becoming that way for sure. If I was just left to my own devices, I'd be doing the same liner as before, right? But having an outlet to see what else is out there and to get those little educational moments from people who I aspire to be more like on Instagram just kind of pushes you a little bit. And it pushes you to the point where it's almost like too much sometimes, because it can become very toxic very quickly. But it's nice to see what is trending. You know, of mine in New York City, when I worked there on Project Runway, would tell me to stop at newspaper stands and to look at what was on the front page of all those magazines. That was a bit of my homework before I got to the show. So if someone referenced, you know, whoever on the cover of Vogue that month, I would know more or less what they meant, or, you know, just to see what's trending with like the biggest brands, because they have the most visual space online and everything, right? So everyone sees that. So that's probably what's trending. So just keeping my eye on what's coming up and what feels like it's kind of the past, you know, that's pretty much what I used Instagram for.
Okay, cool. So you have a following over 2,000 followers that I would say, like, once you eclipsing 1,000 can be a struggle, but 2,000 is definitely separates you from the majority of hairdressers who have around 1,000 or less. So I thought that was it's a good reason to ask you, how long did that take you to build that following? And was there anything that you did where you saw followers increase a lot?
I wish I had really taken note of that, but I started my Instagram about 4 years ago. My friend was like, why aren't you on Instagram? And started putting photos from my phone up. So those are the very first posts. They were like done by my friend who was like, here you go, you're welcome. But when did it really start to grow? I think there was a lot done right in the beginning. And I can't even remember what our strategy really was. I think there was really no strategy. I still go back to some of the very, very first posts and like now hashtag them, because I didn't even know that you're supposed to hashtag. So I haven't really kept track of like how it's increased the way that it has, but I have had help. And that's why I don't know exactly how this all happened, because it probably wouldn't have happened if it was me alone doing it, because I didn't understand it. And at the time for me, I was so busy networking and doing all the other, you know, wearing the other hats of being a solo business owner, that I really needed to give this beast of a thing, of a to-do on my to-do list to somebody else. So I hired help. I hired someone to, you know, step up the website and to make sure that links were working, to take people from this to that, because I would have never figured any of that out in like a million years. So I had help.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. Where did you find the person to help you?
Through all these networking events that I was going. So like in the beginning, how I was networking with a lot of business people, I would meet web developers. I would meet people who were specifically working with new business owners and helping them to scale their businesses up. I worked with a business strategist, you know, in the very beginning. So I was having like one-to-one coffee and lunch meetings with all these great minds on figuring out how this all worked. I even found my business insurance guy from the networking events, you know, so all of that was just from business networking.
Cool. All right. I like that. And if you don't mind me asking, what does something like that cost? Like, and what is that? I mean, do you have the person on retainer, or do you purchase, or do you like pay for their time? Like if someone wanted to take your route, maybe jumpstart themselves a little bit, what are they looking at?
It's just like our industry. All those different industries are just like ours. So you might find a stay-at-home mom who is a badass at creating websites and doing digital work. And she just wants, you know, $10 an hour, $15 an hour. And then you might meet someone who, you know, you also really want to work with, but they cost $45 an hour or $50 an hour, depending on what you need at the time. You know, in the beginning, I had traded haircuts, I believe, to someone to help me finish up my website. It was going really slow, though, you know, because money is a motivator. So eventually I was like, you're fired, and then hired somebody else. And that was a disaster too, because I felt like we weren't talking the same language. So things just were not clicking. So then I had to move on to somebody else. And I had to really figure out, it turns out in the end, I had to figure out what I wanted, who I wanted to work with. And then that was going to cut out a lot of the hiring and firing, which honestly is more expensive than taking the time to figure your shit out first and then go look for this person, down to what day do you want to talk to this person? Maybe they're not available that day because they're doing something else. Like, what do you want to gain out of this relationship? And then go look for them. But there's lots of places to search for help like this. There's Parent, I just found out about recently. It's parents who are looking for extra hours of work, and you know, they're local to the DMV. There is like myvirtualassistant.com. I found my current virtual assistant from networking in a feminist, a DC feminist group of solopreneurs. You just never know where you're going to find your help. But before you go looking for it, figure out exactly what you need help with, what you don't want to do anymore, what's taking too much time, and would be in better hands with somebody else.
All right. Awesome. And, you know, like, I think that I know from experience, but not necessarily with the social media, but with just in projects in general, any sort of undertaking. I want to, like, sometimes I even just want to pay somebody to do something, but I found that if I don't put in the work in the beginning, then it's just going to be frustrating and stressful. And at the end of the day, there's not really a substitute for hard work.
Yeah.
You know, especially it's your thing and it's your time. So I like that. I like
yeah.
that. Okay. So I feel like you probably already touched this, but I'm going to ask anyway. What advice do you have for someone wanting to build a following on social media, something that is going to help them drive business?
Be consistent is what I have learned. I'm not saying that I am really killing it, because really for how much effort we're putting into it, I feel like I should have like 1 million followers. Just know that it is a job. So being a solopreneur, you're already wearing like 9 hats. This would be another one. So if you're not great at it, seek help. It could be a college student who needs hours doing something like this for an internship or whatever. But I would say be consistent and connect with your followers. So if they're leaving you comments, try to leave them comments. And there's a lot of networking that's done on Instagram. I'm always going to my homies pages and being like, oh my God, that's fire. You know, like, I love this photo, or where'd you shoot that? Like, gaining information on Instagram and high-fiving people on Instagram.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. Well, that was awesome. And thank you so much. And I look forward to talking again.
Yeah. Nice talking to you.
Nice seeing you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.